this was in the free pile, so the price is right. So let's see what the free pile has to offer. First thing I notice about this thing is that the height adjustment is really janky. It doesn't really want to click in. Let's see about oil. It's got oil, not too bad. Seems to have compression. Only dribble some fuel in the spark plug hole and see if she'll fire. That's an odd looking plug. That felt like it kicked back at me. I think maybe the flywheel key is busted on this one. Hit something? Yeah, why don't we see if we can take a look at that flywheel and see if it's sheared. Alright, quick air bath. Full of stink bugs. I got to get a impact wrench to get this thing off. Alright, let's get that thing off. Alright, this bolt is 3/4 of an inch. Come on, get on there. There we go. Yep, just as I suspected. You can see there is the piece of the key in the flywheel, and there is the piece of the key in the crankshaft keyway. To get this flywheel off, there are a couple options. One, you could put a pry bar underneath of it and whack the end of the crankshaft with a hammer and hope that the flywheel pops off. Another option would be, I think, to tap these 3 holes right here and use a 3-arm puller to pull this thing off. I think I'm going to try something a little bit different since I already have the air compressor and air tools out. I'm going to try using a variation of the pry bar method. If any of you have ever watched Musty One's channel, you will have seen him use a air impact gun like this with a pry bar to pop flywheels off. So we're going to try the same thing here. Noise alert. I'll put that nut back on. Well, it started to come off. you know, this flywheel has come up a little bit, but it's still not popped, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on the pry bar, and I'm scoring up the engine. What usually happens is these things, when they shear like this, metal kind of squeezes itself in between the flywheel and the crankshaft, and it becomes very hard to take it off. It kind of glues itself, or smushes metal in there, and it's very difficult to pop off. Sometimes they come right off, sometimes they don't. This one doesn't really want to come off, so I think I'm gonna try and come up with a Tecumseh flywheel puller. I'll see what I have in terms of 3-arm pullers, and then I'll try and choose a tap size close to those holes there, and I'll get some bolts that I can thread in there, and we'll see what happens. I also checked in my my parts inventory, and I do not have any Tecumseh flywheel keys, so I'm going to have to order those. Never a bad thing to have on hand, extra flywheel keys, but I don't have any for a Tecumseh engine. So I'm going to go order that, and I'm going to come up with a puller. Okay, so this is a 1/4 inch by 20 tap, the one I used on the Briggs & Stratton motor, and what Briggs & Stratton says to use. It seems a little bit small. I don't think that that's going to probably work. Yeah, it's not going to cut. The threads are not going to be that good. The next size I have up is a 5/16, and that is too big. That's not going to work. It's much too big. So then, as far as metric, I think this is going to what is this, 7 millimeter, 7x1. I think that is actually going to work for us. So I'm going to try cutting some threads here and see what kind of hole it leaves. This is aluminum, so it's pretty soft. I think it bottomed out there. Can you see that? Can you see those threads? So I think 7 millimeter by 1 millimeter thread pitch is going to work just fine. Check that out. I think that is going to work just fine. That is a piece from my slide hammer set. It came with this, so you can actually thread this onto the slide hammer, and you can attach pulling arms and such to this. But it also came with a forcing rod as well that threads right on like that. And so this actually goes right into the crankshaft, and if I had some 7 millimeter bolts, we could try this and see if this would take the flywheel off, pop it off. Okay, it's a couple days later, and I got about 5 M7 by 1.0 bolts, and here they are. And one of them I took and cut a notch to make it kind of like a self-tapper, and I ran it down almost to the bottom of the hole, so that there's more threads to bite onto. Nothing worse than trying to pull something off and have the threads pull out of the workpiece. Trying to get the puller as straight as possible. you don't want to really be pulling on an angle. Oh, seems like it popped right there. Let's just go ahead and see if it will pop the rest of the way. That was very easy. I guess the impact hammer got it most of the way, and this just finished it off. There's the flywheel key, and you can see this sliver of metal that was kind of squished in between the crankshaft and the flywheel, and that's why sometimes when these keys shear, it's very difficult to get them off. And here's a new key. So the engine brake assembly, actually the brake pad is up in the flywheel up here. So to get it on and seated properly, sometimes it helps to pull the handle back and release the brake. That way you can get it on and get it seated correctly and straight. Alright, the manual says 37.5 foot-pounds of torque on this bolt. Actually, it says 450 inch-pounds, but that works out to be 37.5 foot-pounds. Let's hope the blade adapter is not sheared as well. Seems okay. Okay. So this homemade flywheel puller actually worked out pretty nice. I ended up not needing these, but yeah. So I think I'm gonna keep this all together, and I should be able to pull off any Tecumseh flywheel now pretty easily with the setup. Alright, before I try and start it, I'm going to actually take a quick peek underneath the deck and see if I can see if the blade is going to interfere with something, or something is not right down there that might be dangerous. I probably should have checked this before I went gung-ho and tried to replace the flywheel key, which I just did. I should have looked to see if the crank might be bent, and I think this one is. Can you see that wobble? The bolt in the center? Let me just show you how much this thing is off by. See, it's almost touching there. When I go 180 degrees around, it's a lot further away. So this crank is really bent. So that's all she wrote. Even if I did manage to start it, it would probably be vibrating quite excessively. So I do not think that this one is going to be coming back to life. I will part it out, and that'll be that. at least I got a good video out of it, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I made myself a Tecumseh flywheel puller, and that was good. That was a success, and I will keep using this in the future. So if you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.